the voice that dared to speak. The transmission chamber hummed with energy as Dr. Anna Blake prepared for what she knew would be her final broadcast. The Galactic Empire had ruled for 3,000 years, spanning 1,200 worlds and countless species. Humanity occupied the lowest rung of this cosmic hierarchy, classified as limited sentience and forbidden from participating in galactic governance. Anna had spent 15 years working in the Empire's archaeological division, studying ancient ruins across the galaxy. What she discovered changed everything she thought she knew about human history. Hidden in the depths of forgotten worlds, she found evidence of a human civilization that once spanned the stars. Ships that could fold space, weapons that could crack moons, and most shocking of all, technology that the Empire still used today. Doubt the humans hadn't been primitive when the Empire found them. They had been betrayed. 3 days ago, Anna requested an audience with the High Council to present her findings. The response came swiftly. Her research was declared seditious material. Her lab was sealed, and she was ordered to remain silent. The Empire's message was clear. Humans were meant to serve, not question. But Anna had made copies of everything. Hidden in her quarters, she activated the emergency broadcast system that connected all human colonies across the galaxy. Her fingers trembled as she began to speak. My fellow humans, I am Dr. Anna Blake, and I speak to you with the truth they don't want you to know. We are not the weak species they claim we are. We are not their servants by nature. We are their greatest fear. On the screen before her, she displayed images of human starships from 10,000 years ago, vessels that dwarfed the Empire's greatest warships. She showed evidence of human colonies that had thrived in distant galaxies, powered by technology that made the Empire's achievements look primitive. They didn't save us, Anna continued, her voice growing stronger. They conquered us. They destroyed our records, scattered our people, and convinced us we were nothing. But we are everything they wish they could be. The broadcast reached every human settlement simultaneously. On the mining world of Titan's Edge, workers stopped their drilling to watch. In the agricultural colonies of the Outer Rim, farmers gathered around their communication devices. Even on Earth, now little more than a museum planet, the few remaining, humans listened in stunned silence. Anna's final words echoed across human space. They silenced our voice because they feared what we might say. But silence is not surrender. If they won't let us speak with words, then we will speak with action. We will speak with fire. The Empire's response was immediate. Within hours, Imperial fleets surrounded every major human colony. The High Council issued an ultimatum: surrender Anna Blake within 24 hours, or face complete military occupation. But something unexpected happened. For the first time in 3,000 years, humanity said no. On Earth, Colonial Administrator David Ross received the Imperial demand. A career bureaucrat who had spent his life keeping humans compliant, he surprised everyone, including himself, by refusing to cooperate. Dr. Blake has committed no crime, he told the Imperial commander. She told the truth. Across the galaxy, other human leaders made similar choices. The mining supervisor on Titan's Edge destroyed his production quotas rather than hand over his workers. The agricultural coordinator of New Eden declared his world independent. The human crew of the research station Prometheus simply vanished into deep space. Taking their ship with them, the Empire had ruled through fear for millennia. But Anna's broadcast had done something they never expected. It had given humanity hope. In her hidden bunker, Anna monitored the Imperial communications. The High Council was in emergency session, debating how to respond to this unprecedented defiance. Some called for immediate military action. Others worried about the implications of Anna's discoveries. As she listened, Anna realized the Empire's greatest weakness. They had grown comfortable in their dominance, fat on 3,000 years of unquestioned rule. They had forgotten that true strength doesn't come from suppression, but from inspiration. They had forgotten that the most dangerous person in any tyranny is the one who dares to speak the truth. The Imperial fleets began moving toward Earth, their weapons charging for what they assumed would be a swift and brutal lesson. But Anna was no longer afraid. She had lit a fire that would burn across the galaxy, and nothing the Empire could do would extinguish it. She opened a new communication channel and began preparing her next broadcast. If they wanted to silence her voice, she would give them something much louder to worry about. The revolution had begun. The fire spreads the Imperial fleet arrived at Earth, expecting to find a frightened population ready to surrender. Instead, they found something that hadn't existed in 3,000 years, a united humanity preparing to fight. Admiral Marcus Stone stood on the bridge of the Earth defense platform, watching the massive Imperial ships take position around his home world. Stone had served in the Imperial Navy for 20 years before retiring to manage Earth's defenses. He knew their tactics, their weapons, and their weaknesses. "Admiral, the Imperial commander is demanding immediate surrender," reported Lieutenant Kelly Price, Stone's communications officer. "They're giving us 1 hour to comply." Stone looked out at the planet below. For centuries, Earth had been treated as a living museum, its population kept small and docile for the entertainment of Imperial tourists. But Anna's broadcast had awakened something primal in every human heart. "Open a channel to the Imperial fleet," Stone ordered. "All frequencies." The face of Imperial Commander Vex appeared on the screen, his reptilian features twisted with contempt. "Human Stone, you will surrender the terrorist Anna Blake and submit to occupation. You have 57 minutes. Stone smiled. "Commander Vex, I have a counterproposal. You have 57 minutes to leave our system before we demonstrate why the Empire really fears us." Vex's laugh was like grinding metal. "Your primitive weapons cannot penetrate our shields. You have no ships capable of the transmission cut as Stone nodded to his weapons officer. The orbital defense platforms around Earth suddenly came alive, with energy signatures that shouldn't exist. Weapons that had been carefully disguised as communication arrays began charging with power levels that made the Imperial sensors scream warnings. "Impossible," Vex whispered, staring at his readings. "Those energy signatures, they're using quantum field manipulation." Stone's voice came through the speakers of every Imperial ship. 3,000 years ago, you scattered our people across the galaxy. You thought you destroyed our knowledge, our technology, our will to resist. But humans have a gift that you never understood. We remember, we adapt, we survive. The first human ship to decloak was the Defiance, commanded by Captain Rita Cross. She had spent the last decade secretly rebuilding human technology from fragments found in ancient ruins. The ship appeared directly behind the Imperial formation, its hull shimmering with energy fields that bent light itself. "All Imperial vessels. This is Captain Cross of the Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to leave this system immediately. This is your only warning." More ships began appearing. The Phoenix, under Captain James Ward. The Retribution, commanded by Captain Lisa Hunt. Each vessel represented years of secret construction, hidden in asteroid fields and abandoned systems throughout human space. But the real shock came from the planet itself. The museums and cultural sites that the Empire had maintained on Earth began revealing their true nature. Ancient human ruins that had been carefully preserved suddenly erupted with energy as hidden systems came online after millennia of dormancy. And Anna's voice echoed across the system as she broadcast from her hidden location. "For 3,000 years, you told us we were weak. You told us we were primitive. You told us we needed your protection. But we were never weak. We were waiting. The Imperial fleet found itself surrounded by technology they couldn't understand. Earth's cities rose from the ground on massive repulsion fields. The moon's surface opened to reveal construction facilities that had been operating in secret for decades. Even the asteroids in the belt began moving into defensive positions. Commander, Vex realized he was facing not the primitive humans he expected, but the descendants of a civilization that had once challenged the Empire itself. His tactical officer reported that human ships were appearing throughout the system, their stealth technology making them invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. Sir, we're receiving surrender demands from 17 different human vessels, the communications officer reported. They're offering to accept our unconditional surrender. The irony wasn't lost on Vex. For 3,000 years, the Empire had demanded surrender from others. Now they were the ones being offered terms, but Admiral Stone had no intention of letting them surrender. Anna Blake was right. He broadcast to the Imperial fleet. We will speak with fire, and you will learn why the Empire truly fears humanity. The Battle of Earth began with a single shot from the Defiance, a beam of pure energy that passed through the Imperial flagship shields as if they weren't there. The message was clear. The age of Imperial dominance was over. Across the galaxy, other human colonies watched the battle unfold. On each world, hidden preparations began to emerge. The Empire had scattered humanity to prevent them from uniting. Instead, they had created a galaxy-wide network of resistance. Cells, each one ready to rise when the signal came. The signal had come. The Galactic Awakening, the news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy faster than the Imperial sensors could contain it. On 1,000 worlds, suppressed species watched in amazement as humanity's primitive ships defeated the Empire's most advanced fleet. The footage of Imperial vessels retreating from Earth shattered 3 millennia of Imperial propaganda. Blake emerged from hiding to address the galaxy from Earth's newly revealed command center. The facility had been hidden beneath the planet's surface for 10,000 years, maintained by automated systems that had waited patiently for humanity's return to power. Citizens of the galaxy, Anna began, her image broadcast on every frequency. The Empire couldn't block. Today, humanity has reclaimed its place among the stars, but we do not seek dominance. We seek freedom, not just for ourselves, but for all who suffer under Imperial rule. The response was immediate and overwhelming. On the industrial world of Forge Prime, the enslaved Builders Guild rose in rebellion, their massive construction mechs turning against their Imperial overseers. The aquatic tide peoples of the ocean worlds declared independence, their bioships emerging from the depths to challenge Imperial naval forces. Even more shocking were the defections within the Imperial military itself. Captain Zara Voss of the Imperial cruiser Domination had witnessed the Battle of Earth firsthand. She had seen human ships phase through solid matter, weapons that rewrote the laws of physics, and most importantly, commanders who showed mercy to defeated enemies. This is Captain Voss to all Imperial vessels in Sector 7, she broadcast. I am officially defecting to the Human Coalition. Any vessel that wishes to join me in fighting for freedom rather than oppression is welcome. Within hours, half of her battle group had joined the rebellion. The Empire's strength had always been built on fear and the belief that resistance was impossible. Anna's broadcast had shattered that belief. On the Imperial capital world of Nexus Prime, the High Council convened an emergency session. The Five, ancient beings who had ruled the galaxy for millennia, found themselves facing their greatest crisis. Emperor Thane, the eldest of the council, studied the reports with growing unease. How is this possible? Demanded Councillor Drex. Our intelligence reports showed no military buildup in human space. Where did these ships come from? The answer came from their chief scientist, Dr. Corvin. The humans have been rebuilding there. Technology for decades, possibly centuries. They've been using archaeological sites as cover, claiming to study ruins while actually reactivating ancient systems. We've been watching them dig up their own weapons. The implications were staggering. Every primitive human colony in the galaxy potentially contained hidden military assets. Every archaeological dig could be a weapons research facility. The Empire had been nurturing its own destruction. Meanwhile, Captain Rita Cross of the Defiance was leading a strike force toward the Nexus system. Her fleet consisted of ships from a dozen different species, all united under the banner of the Human Coalition. The symbolism wasn't lost on anyone. Humanity, once the galaxy's most oppressed species, had become its liberators. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the Builders Guild," reported her communications officer. "They're offering to share their construction technology in exchange for protection from Imperial retaliation." Cross smiled. This was exactly what Anna had hoped for. The Empire had maintained power by keeping species isolated and weak. The Coalition was offering something the Empire never could: genuine cooperation between equals. The turning point came when the Sage Collective, the galaxy's most advanced telepathic species, announced their support for the Coalition. The Sages had remained neutral for millennia, but their spokesperson, Elder Keth, made their position clear. "We have observed the thoughts of both sides in this conflict," Keth announced. "The Empire rules through fear and sees other species as tools to be used. The humans offer partnership and see other species as family to be protected. The choice of which future we want is clear." Anna watched the reports from Earth's command center, hardly believing how quickly the galaxy was changing. Species that had been enemies for thousands of years were now working together against their common oppressor. The Empire's greatest weapon, division, had been turned against them, but she knew the real test was still coming. The Empire wouldn't surrender without a fight. They had weapons that could destroy entire star systems, and they had shown they were willing to use them. The Coalition's moral victory would mean nothing if the Empire chose to burn the galaxy, rather than lose control. "Admiral Stone," she called to the Earth Defense Commander. "How long before our fleet reaches Nexus Prime?" Stone checked his tactical display. 72 hours, assuming the Imperial reinforcements don't intercept." "Use first," Anna nodded. 72 hours to change the galaxy forever. They had come too far to fail, now the Empire's last. Stand the Imperial defense of Nexus Prime was the most massive military deployment in galactic history. Emperor Thane had recalled every available ship, creating a defensive fleet of over 10,000 vessels surrounding the capital world. The message was clear. The Empire would not fall without a fight. Admiral Marcus Stone studied the tactical display aboard his flagship, the Prometheus. The Coalition fleet was impressive, nearly 3,000 ships from dozens of species. But they were still outnumbered more than 3 to 1. However, Stone had learned something important from Anna's research. Victory wasn't always about numbers. "Captain Cross, are your stealth ships in position?" Stone asked. Rita Cross responded from the bridge of the Defiance. "Affirmative, Admiral. The infiltration teams are ready. Just give the word." The plan was audacious. While the main Coalition fleet engaged the Imperial defenses, smaller human ships would use their advanced stealth technology to penetrate Nexus Prime's planetary shields. Their mission wasn't to attack the civilian population, but to broadcast Anna's message directly to the Imperial capital. Anna herself was aboard the Prometheus, preparing for what she knew would be the most important speech of her life. She had started this revolution with words, and she intended to finish it the same way. "Dr. Blake," Stone said, approaching her console. "Are you ready?" Anna looked at the tactical display showing the massive Imperial fleet. As ready as anyone can be to challenge an empire that's ruled for 3,000 years. The battle began at dawn, Nexus Prime time. The Imperial fleet moved forward in perfect formation, their weapons charging with energy that could vaporize planets. But the coalition ships didn't retreat. Instead, they began to sing. The Tide Peoples had contributed their bioships, vessels that could communicate through harmonic frequencies. The Builders Guild had added their construction mechs, machines that could repair damage faster than most. Weapons could inflict it. The Sage Collective provided their telepathic coordination, allowing the entire fleet to move as one organism. But it was the human ships that provided the real surprise. As the Imperial weapons fired, expecting to tear, through the coalition formation, the human vessels began to phase. They became translucent, then transparent, then completely invisible to both sensors and weapons. Impossible. Emperor Thane whispered from his command center deep within Nexus Prime. Our weapons are passing right through them. Dr. Corvin frantically checked his readings. They're shifting between dimensional phases. The weapons are firing at where they were, not where they are. The Coalition fleet passed through the Imperial defenses like ghosts, their return fire striking with precision that should have been impossible. But they weren't trying to destroy the Imperial ships. Instead, they were systematically disabling them, leaving the crews alive but helpless. This is Admiral Stone to the Imperial fleet, Stone broadcast. We offer you the same choice you've given others for 3,000 years. Surrender, and you will be treated with mercy. Resist, and face the consequences. The response was immediate. Half the Imperial fleet began powering down their weapons. The other half, loyal to the end, continued fighting. But their efforts were futile. The Coalition ships moved through their formations like dancers, their weapons precisely targeting engines and command systems while avoiding life support. Meanwhile, Anna's infiltration team had reached Nexus Prime. Captain Lisa Hunt of the stealth ship Whisper had managed to penetrate the planet's shields without being detected. The ship landed in the capital city, and Anna stepped out onto Imperial soil for the first time in her life. The city was in chaos. News of the battle above had reached the population, and many Imperial citizens were seeing footage of the Coalition fleet for the first time. They watched in amazement as human ships performed maneuvers that defied known physics, while showing mercy to defeated enemies. Anna made her way to the Imperial Broadcast Center, accompanied by a small team of Coalition soldiers, but they encountered no resistance. The Imperial Guards, seeing the footage of the battle above, had abandoned their posts. "This is Dr. Anna Blake," she announced as she took control of the Imperial communication system. "I speak not as a conqueror, but as someone who offers you a choice. The Empire has ruled through fear for 3,000 years. Today, we offer you something different. We offer you freedom." Her words reached every world in the Empire simultaneously. On industrial planets, workers stopped their machines to listen. In the outer colonies, farmers gathered around their communication devices. Even on the most distant outposts, beings who had never heard of humanity listened to the voice that had started a revolution. Emperor Thane watched from his bunker as his empire crumbled around him. The fleet above was defeated, his capital was occupied, and his subjects were listening to a human speak of freedom. For the first time in 3 millennia, he felt something he had almost forgotten: fear. The age of the Empire was ending. The age of freedom was about to begin. The dawn of freedom, the surrender of Emperor Thane, came not with fanfare, but with quiet dignity. The ancient ruler emerged from his bunker to find Anna Blake waiting for him in the Imperial Palace, surrounded not by conquering soldiers, but by representatives from dozens of species who had suffered under his rule. "Dr. Blake," Thane said, his voice carrying the weight of 3,000 years. "I suppose you've come to gloat over your victory." Anna shook her head. "I've come to offer you the same thing we've offered everyone else: a chance to build something better." The Emperor's eyes widened. In all his years of rule, no one had ever offered him redemption. You would trust me, after everything the Empire has done? Trust is earned, Anna replied. But everyone deserves the chance to earn it. The transition of power was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of executing the Imperial leadership, the Coalition established truth and reconciliation tribunals. Instead of destroying the Empire's infrastructure, they converted it to serve all species equally. Instead of revenge, they chose justice. Admiral Stone was offered the position of Supreme Commander of the new Galactic Federation, but he declined. "I'm a soldier, not a politician," he said. "My job was to win the war. Others are better suited to win the peace." Instead, the Federation was established as a true democracy, with representatives from every species and world. Anna was elected as the first president, but she made it clear the humans would have no special privileges. "We fought for equality," she said in her acceptance speech. "That means equality for everyone, including ourselves." The transformation was remarkable. Worlds that had been strip-mined for imperial profit began to heal. Species that had been enslaved for millennia learned to govern themselves. Technologies that had been restricted to the imperial elite were shared freely among all Federation members. Captain Rita Cross found herself commanding the new Federation exploration fleet, tasked with discovering what lay beyond the borders of the former empire. Her first mission took her to the edge of the galaxy, where her sensors detected something extraordinary, signals from other human civilizations, ones that had escaped the Empire's conquest millennia ago. "Anna," she reported back to Earth, "we're not alone. There are humans out there who never forgot what we were capable of. They've been waiting for us to remember." The reunion with the lost colonies was a moment of pure joy. These humans had spent thousands of years preparing for the day when their scattered people would be free again. They brought with them technologies and knowledge that had been lost to the Empire, gifts that would help the Federation grow stronger. But perhaps the most significant change was cultural. The Empire had ruled through fear and division, teaching species to hate and distrust each other. The Federation was built on cooperation and understanding. Children who had grown up believing their species was superior or inferior to others learned to see themselves as part of a greater galactic family. Anna often visited the Memorial of Voices, a monument built on Earth to honor all those who had suffered under Imperial rule. The memorial was unique. It allowed visitors to hear the final words of those who had died fighting for freedom, their voices preserved forever in quantum resonance fields. "They silenced so many voices," Anna said during the memorial's dedication. "But every voice that was silenced made our voices stronger. Every act of oppression made our determination greater. The Empire thought they could control us by making use afraid. Instead, they taught us the true value of freedom." The memorial became a pilgrimage site for beings from across the galaxy. They came to remember the price of freedom and to pledge that such oppression would never be allowed to rise again. Years passed, and the Federation grew stronger. New worlds were discovered, new species were welcomed, and new technologies were developed through cooperation rather than conquest. The galaxy that had once been ruled by fear was now guided by hope. Anna, now in her 70s, often stood on the observation deck of the Federation's headquarters, looking out at the stars. She thought about the day she had first broadcast. Her message, the day she had chosen to speak truth instead of accepting silence. "Did you ever imagine it would grow into this?" asked Admiral Stone, joining her at the observation window. Anna smiled. "I knew the truth was powerful. I just didn't know how powerful." Below them, the Federation Assembly was in session, with representatives from over 1,000 worlds debating the future of the galaxy. Their voices rose and fell in passionate discussion, each one free to speak their mind without fear. They had silenced her voice, so she spoke with fire. And that fire had lit a beacon of freedom that would shine across the galaxy for generations to come. The revolution was complete. The real work of building a better future had begun. Asterisk.